Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Kate. Today I have put together for you a compilation of my most popular decluttering videos. These videos go over decluttering and mental health, how to start decluttering, some common causes of clutter, and then I also go over some of my own lessons that I have learned about decluttering on my own decluttering journey. So I really hope that this video blesses you in some way, that it maybe motivates you or inspires you, encourages you, that you can do this in your own home as well, and it will just bless yourself and your family so much. So I really hope that you enjoy these videos. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You know, there are a couple of insightful quotes that very well describe the impact of clutter in our lives. One describes that clutter is chaos. It's a suffocating presence that robs us of our peace and joy. And the other describes how, when we clear the physical clutter from our lives, we literally make way for inspiration and for good, orderly direction to enter. What feelings does this picture of the current state of my kitchen invoke for you? A lot of the time, clutter brings so many negative feelings into our homes, and we may not even be conscious of them. But my kitchen at the moment makes me feel anxious, guilty, lazy, chaotic, out of control, and almost a bit panicked. If a picture paints 1,000 words, then this one speaks of a full-time working mum with 3 busy teenagers who parents alone and feels exhausted by life, the life admin. Someone who is perimenopausal, if you know, you know. Someone who doesn't have a hired cleaner, who just generally feels overwhelmed with all that there is to do and achieve in this thing called life. So while I tidy and declutter my kitchen, let's talk some more about clutter and its insidious infiltration into our lives, but more importantly, its infiltration into our minds. I name it as insidious, as it is like water. It slowly filters into our homes, finding every nook and cranny to flow into, encompassing and moving through all our treasured spaces and eventually engulfing what is actually meant to be a haven for us. Another quote describes how external clutter is internal clutter on display. It's quite a powerful quote. So clutter truly is more about mental health than it is about aesthetics. We quite often think it's about having a beautiful, tidy, clean, organised home. And of course there is an element of this, but it's actually about having a beautiful, tidy, organised state of mind and mental health. You only have to watch an episode of Hoarders to see and understand that clutter is a matter of mental health and not about having a tidy and pretty house. The science and research is out there, and it is very clear on the impact of clutter on our mental health. There is a direct link between clutter in our homes and having a high cortisol level, which is one of the stress hormones. Clutter causes stress and anxiety. It makes us feel overwhelmed, even subconsciously, without you even being aware of it sometimes. You can be living in a state of clutter and chaos in your own home, but because it has become your normal, then you may not even be aware of the turmoil that it's causing in your mind. As human beings, our brains crave order. We thrive on it actually, because our brains tell us that it is keeping us safe and protected. Just think of how you feel when you walk into a space or someone's home and there is no clutter around. Everything has a place in which it lives or gets put back to. Services are clear and tidy. Those spaces feel like a calm haven to to spend time in, don't they? Decluttering helps your brain to immediately feel in control, relaxed, and at peace. It feels safe. The links between depression and clutter are also well proven. I think we probably all could identify with someone in our lives, or maybe even ourselves, who has experienced depression at some level. It is debilitating and paralytic for many. So if you can imagine being in that state, your brain is in chaos already, and clutter just feeds into this negative cycle of chaos. It multiplies the feeling of overwhelm. It's not restorative in any way, and it actually makes us sicker. Decluttering helps us to untangle the wires, if you like. It's to bring order and restoration to our brain. It helps us to feel like we can breathe and decompress. When we are not surrounded by clutter, we can actually give ourselves space to do the important work of healing the complexities of our minds. We all have them. Clutter can cause or in the least contribute to low self-esteem. Or you could actually switch it around and say that low self-esteem contributes to clutter. It is all interlinked. If you think of clutter as being nothing more than postponed decisions, as another saying goes, then you can appreciate how this can bring about feelings of hopelessness, lack of control, feeling like you never get anything right. But decluttering helps us to feel empowered, that we can accomplish goals and feel proud of our homes, and this in turn will lift our self-esteem. Clutter can cause relational harmony or difficulty inside of our homes. I know it does in my own home. My kids will always comment if I have managed to declutter, tidy and organise a certain area of our home. It instantly makes them feel calm and happy. Clutter makes it impossible to find things that you need to use. A perfect example of this in my own home is the brand new unopened pair of hair cutting scissors that we cannot find anywhere for months now. Clutter causes upset and resentment of the constant messy state, and this is always going to have an impact in our relationships. Firstly, it puts you in this never improving cycle of feeling embarrassed to have guests over, but it in turn impacts hugely on meaningful relationships with your family and friends. Relationships with friends get neglected because you feel you have too much tidying, cleaning, sorting you need to get on with at home, and you also don't want to invite them over because of the shame of the mess. And meaningful relationships with your kids and your spouse suffer because the chaos in your home is screaming out, "I need to be dealt with." Resentment builds up, tension builds up, the overwhelm builds up, and it infiltrates the whole family. Decluttering starts to build a safe home environment for our families and ourselves. It is actually an important part of our self-care. We physically feel safe in an uncluttered environment, and our brains feel safe as well. And the final thing that clutter affects is personal growth. How do you have the mental space or capacity for creation and growth when it is being occupied by clutter? And by this I mean the physical clutter in our homes. It's fueling mental clutter of stress, anxiety, depression, guilt, low self-esteem, poor relationships, all of the things that we have been talking about here. It kills any room for inspiration, creativity, and growth. You know, you and your families are worthy of having a physical and mental environment that encourages and promotes safety, control, focus, motivation, inspiration, creativity, happiness, meaningful relationships, restfulness, calmness, and peace. I want that for my family for sure. And if it's a work in progress for you, then please be encouraged, because it is for me as well. It's about small, consistent habits over time. It can feel like a constant moving target, but it is achievable. And if you need help, then there is no shame in asking for help. There are lots of great people out there who are wanting to help. We are not meant to be doing this alone, so reach out if you need to. We have all had times over our lives, or will have times, where we need to put a hand up and say, I need some help. I hope this video encourages or inspires or helps even one person. And until the next time, have a great week, everyone.
Are you a busy working parent or person who struggles to find the time and balance in your home to clean, tidy, declutter, organise, plan and cook meals, and find the harmony between all of these? Then you've landed on the right channel. This is especially true if you experience low-grade motivation, maybe even low-grade depression, definitely if you're single parenting. I'm Kate, and I work full-time in a healthcare setting. I have 3 teenage children, ages 18, 16 and 14. I have an ageing 11-year-old chocolate Labrador and 2 cats. On a side note, I also parent alone. I often feel overwhelmed with housekeeping and label myself as a self-confessed terrible housewife. I know that I want the space around me to be tidy and clean and organised, but it always seems a reality that I am never quite able to reach. I would love you to start on a journey with me this year. What you are seeing in this video is my home on New Year's Day. We have been in and out frequently over the festive season, and everything has pretty much been dumped. Nothing's been put away or tidied. But to be very honest and vulnerable with you, my home looks like this way too often. Do you struggle with maintaining your home at a level that, for example, if someone knocked on the door, you wouldn't be embarrassed to let them in? I feel like this often. I know for me, every week it's a wrestle to balance working full-time, cooking, cleaning, carpooling kids to activities and appointments, grocery shopping, exercising the dog, teaching teenagers to drive, prioritising time for kids, family, friends, and the self-care that I know I need and crave. I know I'm not the only one facing these challenges. It's a symptom of busy working families nowadays, where quite often something has to be sacrificed and things get overlooked. But I also know there is a way to make them way more manageable. We are going to start building small, consistent, achievable habits into our daily lives together. My videos are going to be around life flow and how to achieve more balance as busy working families through habits, systems, planning and consistency. I'm going to be doing it with you. In this video, we will start with some decluttering. Some things we will be doing each day, maybe before work or after work. Some things may be more achievable on our days off. But the key thing to remember is small, consistent habits are going to be where the magic happens. The principles we are going to start building on are: number 1, we're going to start in one area or zone of our house at a time. We're going to start in our kitchens today, but what you are seeing in this video is those small, consistent efforts over 1 week. To have this not feeling so overwhelming, I think it's best for us to concentrate on one area at a time. Now, for some of you, you may only need to spend a week in your kitchen. For example, if you already have a fairly clean and organised kitchen, there may only be minimal decluttering or cleaning to do. For others though, you may need to spend 2 to 3 weeks or even longer in this zone to really feel like you've made a headway. We are aiming for slow and steady here, not a sprint, because this doesn't bring about real change. Remember, small, consistent habits is what is going to make a big impact. Number 2, we are going to declutter 1 to 5 items per day from that zone. When I say declutter, this means to either throw it away or donate it. We want it gone, out of the house. And depending on how much clutter you have in your zone will determine how many items you declutter each day. Number 3, each day we are going to spend 5 to 10 minutes on an area in this zone which attracts clutter. I call it a clutter zone. Fly Lady calls it a hotspot. Call it whatever you like. This is an area in your zone which seems to constantly be a dumping ground for all things. We all have them. Spend this time to sort through, throw away, declutter, or decide if you need to keep these items. Everything should have a home. If you want to keep an item but don't have a permanent space for it just yet, then at least take it to the appropriate room or space in your home where they will belong eventually. It will find a home when we get to that zone. Number 4. Also each day we're going to wipe down one different surface in your zone. It might be one cupboard door or one pantry shelf or one window or the outside of the bin. Any surface that you wouldn't usually clean on a regular day. This is how we are going to be building small, consistent, achievable habits of cleaning. And number 5, we are going to clear and shine our sinks every day. At the end of every evening, we are going to clean and try to put away every dish from the kitchen sink. This means that if there are people using any dishes, like teenagers, after the sink is sparkling, then the deal is that they have to clean the dish up and at least put it on the side to dry. So this is my day 1 that you are watching now. New Year's Day 2024. All I have started in this clip is the principle of clearing my sink and surrounding dishes, loading the dishwasher, cleaning and putting away extra dishes and shining the sink. In the whole scheme of things, this only took me about 40 minutes and didn't take long for my kitchen to start feeling less chaotic. If I can do it, I promise you, you can as well. Here are some of my thoughts on decluttering. I didn't get in this state or this mess overnight. It has taken months, years actually, for this mess to evolve. So on the flip side, I have to be realistic that it is not going to be a quick fix. It is going to be a process. The principles of decluttering are very similar to weight loss. In weight loss, there has to be a deficit of what calories you're putting into your body versus what you are giving out, i.e. energy burnt. And with decluttering, I am only going to see a difference in my home if more is going out than I am bringing into my home. I can't tidy clutter. I can move it to a different place, hide it away, say I'm going to deal with it later, but ultimately, if items don't have a home or an assigned place in your home, it is always going to look messy. I can do something for 5 to 10 minutes every day. I can do that, even if I'm working full time. Something will get me progressing, but nothing will get me nowhere. I have to spend time at home and have designated time and practices in place to ensure tasks get done. Schedules or checklists are a great tool to help me make progress. And if an item hasn't been used for 3 to 6 months, then I need to consider if it has a place in my home or does it need to be decluttered. Obviously, seasonal items like a tent or snow boots may only be used once a year, but these are the exception. Here I am showing you the principles in action. This is day 1. This is the one item that I'm going to declutter. It's had flowers in it. It's just a plastic storage container, which I really don't need anymore. So that's going to be going into my box. Here we are onto my 5 minutes of decluttering for day 1. This literally was just 5 minutes. I've sped it up here so it's not too boring. I apologise for the light flicking in and out. It was a really sunny day that day and the camera wasn't coping with it very well. When you do 5 minutes of sorting a clutter zone area, you will honestly be so surprised at what you can achieve. After I had done this area, my daughter was sitting on the couch behind my camera, and even she was excited to see the bench top changing before her eyes. You know, we can't underestimate the effect, either positive or negative, of what our children are observing of us. I'm sorting through a wide array of items in this clutter zone. Dead flowers to the bin,
books to go into my bag, Christmas soaps up to the bathroom, and other items back into the pantry. And finally, finishing off with a much needed wipe down of my bench. And here's the end result. This is after day 1. Not really a whole lot of time required, but a big difference already. It's nowhere near perfect, but that's okay. As I said, we're just starting with those small, consistent habits. Here is a reminder of what my kitchen looked like on New Year's Day. 6 days later, as on the 7th, I was too tired to do any cleaning or decluttering, and that's okay, we just reset the next day. And here is the after picture of what can be achieved with small, consistent habits. If you would like to join me on this journey, then please hit subscribe. It would be wonderful to share our progress together and wins along the way, while keeping things very real at the same time. Thanks so much for joining me, and see you soon. Common causes of clutter and some ways in which we can solve them. Join me as we talk about these, and I will show some real-life applications in my own bathroom. Cause number 1, not knowing where to start. Gosh, this can happen to us all. We can feel overwhelmed with the task ahead and the insurmountable clutter we have around us. Our brains can feel paralysed as to deciding which room, corner or item to start with. There can also be an element of the pressure for perfectionism, where if we don't think we can physically achieve the picture that our minds are showing us, then we can think it's pointless to even start. But this is the trickery of the chaos that clutter causes in our brains. To begin to quieten the chaos our brains are feeling, then we need to just start small. Change comes from doing something. Nothing comes from doing nothing. There are many different ways to start decluttering and see progress over time. You can start in one room, or start with items that are in the same category. You could decide to choose to declutter 10 items across the whole household each day. Small, consistent habits over time is what will bring about positive change, both visually in your home and mentally. Pause number 2, owning too many items that are doing the same job. When you have too much clutter in your home and it has not regularly been sorted through, then you end up with too many objects or products that are providing the same purpose. In my bathroom, some of these items are soap, razors and diffusers. Double or triple ups or more can happen for various reasons, like being gifted similar items, buying extras because they were on sale, or wanting to try a new version of the same product. But a lot of the time, when you have too much clutter, it's because you can't actually see what you already have underneath all the mess, or you can't remember where you have placed it amongst all the clutter. The solution for this problem lies in decluttering, and also the next point that we will discuss, which is number 3, a lack of habits for keeping your home tidy and organised. Some people seem to have it inbuilt into their personality, an involuntary urge and desire to keep routines, organisation and cleanliness. But for a lot of people, those helpful habits and routines were never developed in childhood, and it then flows into their adulthood. But most definitely, a lack of these decluttering and cleaning habits is going to compound over time and result in clutter. Items getting lost, forgetting you had certain items, spending more money on buying items again because you can't find them, and just a feeling that you are never making progress in how your home looks and feels. Small, regular, consistent habits is one of the easiest ways to keep on top of clutter and cleaning in our homes. Habits are formed after doing the same thing again and again and again, until it just becomes the norm and we just do that said thing without even really thinking about it. This might look like pushing items immediately back to their designated place rather than putting it elsewhere and then having to move it again. This is known as the one-touch method. Wiping down the shower glass when wet and having a cloth available in a handy place so that it can be done regularly by everyone. Throwing items away when you were done with them. Having cleaning products and tools available nearby at the site where you are cleaning so that you have everything you need when you need it. Number 4 cause of clutter is not making time to declutter. Coming home to a cluttered, untidy place is only going to add to the stress and overwhelm we are already feeling outside of our home. And like with anything good and noble in our lives, if we want something to change, succeed and thrive, then we have to put time and effort in. We have to actually be home and prioritise time in our week if we are to be able to declutter effectively and see real change as a result. Your situation of clutter didn't happen in a week, and therefore it isn't going to get sorted in a week. It's going to take precious time, but the outcome will be worth it. Put aside a block of time each day or week to start decluttering and prioritise it on your calendar. Even 15 minutes a day, you will start to see real change. Making time to declutter is going to come full circle, because if you initially put the time in to declutter, then your home becomes more streamlined and tidy and easier to organise and keep clean and tidy. And in turn, your time will be rewarded back to you. Number 5, common reason of clutter. A lack of systems or storage for handling stuff. The issue with systems, storage and clutter can be looked at from 2 perspectives. If we choose to keep clutter, then the amount of storage and systems we need to try and manage all of the stuff is just going to multiply. This is going to be costly in terms of money, time and effort, but more importantly, the cost to our mental health is huge. Or we can choose to declutter regularly and have the benefit of having less stuff to physically have to manage, less storage and time is needed to keep it tidy and organised, and the positive impact on our mental health when we come back to a calm, ordered and uncluttered home cannot be denied. So either clutter has to go or more storage has to be found. The aim is for everything you own to have a designated place that it gets returned to. Here in my bathroom, just buying a simple corner unit has enabled the bath salts to come off the floor and have a home. My regularly used cleaning products also now have a storage space. Another useful choice to make is to take away surface areas that will attract clutter, because who doesn't like to put items down on a flat surface and they just sit there accumulating? We're all guilty of that. So by just packing away the bath caddy on top of my bath, I have removed a surface area and therefore removed the ability for it to get cluttered with items. In other areas of our homes, these items will look like paperwork, crafts, keys, wallets, bags. The list can go on. Decluttering all of this and having the right storage will be a game changer in your home. Number 6 is having to use a space not as intended. This situation can end up being a clutter problem for many different reasons. You may have multiple children in one small bedroom. A bedroom might have to also be used as a workspace if you work from home. Your garage may have turned into a catch-all for items that you are storing for adult children. Or you may have a sick family member who is being cared for in the lounge because it's the only space on the ground floor with easy access. Some of these situations will be short-term, but some will be longer-term, and you just have to make the space work. For me, I have an anxious cat who has to be in my bathroom overnight. If I don't have her locked away with a litter tray, then she will pee on the couch and other places. So I have a cat bed, water bowls and litter trays in my small bathroom that I have to manage every day. The bath gets dirty from her rubbing against the side of it, and litter gets scattered, but we just have to make it work. Having the mentality of less is more, regular decluttering and good storage solutions is going to make these situations more doable and bearable. Number 7 reason for clutter is that you are buying or continuing to own more stuff than is going out. The overarching theme of clutter, very simply, is that we just have too much stuff and then we acquire more stuff. It's a simple equation of too many items coming into our homes and not enough going out. It gets to the point where the clutter threshold of your home has been exceeded. And you know what? We can't tidy clutter. We can move it around, we can put it in a box, we can hide it in the cupboard for when we plan to sort it out. But it will eventually get to the point where it has to be managed and controlled, or it will start to control you physically and mentally. When we buy online or in a shop, it gives us a spike of the short-term reward hormone, dopamine. But this is where we get caught, because it is only a short-term reward. We get the item home and then we want for that dopamine hit again, and so it just occurs all over again. The long-term mental health benefits of having less clutter around and removing the chaos of too much stuff will far outweigh the short-term pleasure of a quick dopamine hit and the subsequent chaos of constantly bringing clutter into our homes. There is a psychological idea known as the endowment effect, or you could name it as "I might use it again one day" effect. This is where we are more likely to keep an object that we already own than we are to buy the same object if we don't already own it. So letting go of an object, even if it's not serving or purposeful to us anymore, can be really hard to declutter. This is a skill that has to be exercised regularly, like strengthening a muscle, to practice getting better at letting things go. Self-awareness to be able to ask yourself, does the stress and burden to myself and my home of keeping this item outweigh the usefulness and joy of keeping this item? If the answer is yes, then the item needs to go. And number 9, my last common cause of clutter is that your life circumstances have changed. This may be a temporary or more long-term change, but it always means a disruption of the usual routines and systems during these major life events. It could look like a new baby, a new job, a new home, and all of the settling in time that comes with these changes. For some, it might be illness, mental or physical, or a trauma of some kind. Clutter often has common roots of either situational or psychological reasons. And the more of these clutter reasons that apply to you, then the likeliness of clutter in your home is going to compound and increase. So always in these more difficult times, decisions around priorities have to take place. What is the next right or best thing that you can choose? Quite often, we need trusted people around us to help us make these good choices, or just help us to get some order into our homes, which in turn will help bring order to our brains and enable us to make the next right choice. Ask your people, your community to rally around you. There is always someone willing and able. So I just encourage you to get started with your decluttering, or keep going if you have already started. There is huge and wonderful long-term effects of getting all of the stuff out of our homes. Please subscribe and hit the like button if you found this video helpful. It helps me to be able to continue making videos like this. Have a great week, everyone. Until next time. As we come into the festive season of high consumerism, accumulating more and more stuff, buying and receiving gifts that we don't need, and spending money that we don't have, I am more and more motivated, spurred on, encouraged, inspired and compelled to keep the decluttering wheel turning in my home, to go against the grain, especially at this time of the year, and keep on the path of this decluttering journey for the well-being of myself and my family. Because decluttering cannot and is never going to be a one-off event. It can't be a diarised date on your calendar once a year that you can simply spend the day sorting, tidying and organising your entire house after the Christmas season is done. Firstly, this is ludicrous to even think that it is a possible scenario, but even if you did try it, it would be too overwhelming and exhausting to execute. Now, if you have been doing the consistent efforts of decluttering regularly throughout the year, this would be the only situation in which I think it could be achieved. But that is my point. Decluttering is the consistent repetition of positive action that absolutely will bring huge benefit to all aspects of your life. And don't get me wrong, I do plan on decorating for Christmas. I do love wandering around the shops and looking at all the lovely decorations and festive gifts that are calling out to me, buy me, buy me. And sometimes I do. But I'm also very wary and mindful that any item I bring into my home is another item that needs managing and storing. I also keep in the forefront of my mind that this year was the year that more would be going out than was coming in, and that I need to hold myself accountable to this, because ultimately decluttering is the solution, not better storage. Most people go on a big declutter rampage in the new year, a resolution to purge the house of all the excess after gifts galore are given and received. But I read a meme a few weeks ago and it spoke a lot of truth to me. It encouraged us to declutter before Christmas and to get those items to the second-hand store in plenty of time. There are so many families that are out scouting through these shops who are on a very tight budget, and it's wonderful for them if they had the selection of our decluttering efforts before Christmas rather than in the new year. Toys, excess good quality linen, kitchen items, clothing, it just makes sense. A powerful quote by Mother Teresa says, "The more you have, the more you are occupied. The less you have, the more free you are." Less is more. Having less clutter in our homes means more time to do the things we love doing, things that grow and inspire us or fill our tanks. Less clutter gives us with a more positive mental health outcome. It invites more joy and peace and pride in your home. Less gives you more physical and mental space and the ability to extend more of an open door policy to family and friends. Less in your home makes it so much easier to clean and to find things. Oprah Winfrey once said, "Getting rid of clutter eliminates 40% of housework in the average home." This makes total sense to me. Less stuff to manage, less stuff to store, less stuff to have to dust or pick up and clean under, less stuff to have to find a home for, less stuff to be burdened by. My house is on split levels, and this staircase goes from my living room area down to the ground level where my youngest daughter's room and the garage are. These containers, boxes, blankets, and items have been clogging up this staircase for months. They landed in this space after decluttering my garage. That is round one of decluttering. Sorting out my garage then had a knock-on effect, where clutter that still needed decisions made on were just moved to another area in my home. The garage declutter was never going to be a one-off event, where everything was sorted in one day or even one weekend. My poor daughter has been having to navigate this hazard of a staircase just to get down to her room each day. The carpet is covered in dog and cat hair and desperately needs vacuuming. So eventually I had to move on to round two of decluttering. Sometimes you do just have to be in the right frame of mind to tackle a certain project. I had the motivation to do this staircase, but it was not the final destination. I have boxes here with goodness only knows what kind of paper clutter in them, but that is going to be a declutter project for another day. So you can see that just as insidiously and without thought, the clutter accumulates in our homes over a long period of time. It takes purposeful, thoughtful, meaningful, regular and consistent action to grow it into a lifestyle that you choose every day. And so, as I continue with my own decluttering journey this year, Not only do I increasingly understand the meaning of this less is more concept, but I feel and see it as well. I see the change, not only physically and visually in my home, but I feel it in a sense of calmness, order, and positivity that my whole family notices. Every item that is removed from our homes is a step, a work in progress, towards this peace and calmness and order to our mental health, and that is what we all want and need. Decluttering is a skill, a muscle that has to be utilised regularly. It is a constantly moving destination that you can never arrive at. It can never be a one-off event, but has to be seen as a mindset of needing and wanting less, a lifestyle that you are always striving and working towards every day. We declutter and organise round 1, and then we continue to keep the wheel turning. Declutter and organise round 2, round 3. Constantly looking and assessing on a regular basis and asking yourself, do I need this? Do I use this? Do I love this? It is a balance of striving to achieve negative equity with our belongings. More is going out of our homes than is coming in. Keep a donation box by the front door and aim to fill it by the end of each week, and up to the op shop it goes as quick as you can. Just take note of how it makes you feel to have the weight and burden of the clutter slowly but consistently removed from your home. I honestly don't remember and couldn't tell you most of what I have decluttered this year so far. The items were of so little importance or use in my home that I don't even know they are gone. This is a true sign to me that it definitely needed to be decluttered. The burden of managing this clutter far outweighed any value I was receiving from it. Keep moving forward in your decluttering journey. It is worth it. Have you got to the point where you are overwhelmed? Overwhelmed with stuff and overwhelmed with having to think about all the stuff? What I have come to realise over this year so far, when I got to the point at the beginning of the year and something changed in my thoughts, my mind. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I knew something had to change. My home was getting swallowed up with clutter. My thoughts were preoccupied with the clutter frequently, and interestingly, I knew it was affecting my family. My kids, all on their own, have tidied and decluttered their own bedrooms, as they just needed a haven of their own where they could breathe, feel calm, and not feel overwhelmed. I don't even feel like my home was horrific. It was just very untidy, with unsorted stuff from house moves, kids getting older and outgrowing items that weren't being used anymore, or didn't have a permanent home, or simply weren't taken to their permanent home. But this is what clutter looks like, and this is how it evolves. It is a slow-moving process, and it never just happens overnight. It is a story of unmade decisions, with an aspect of fear sprinkled in, and an equation of more coming in than is going out. So, in this video, which is part 1 of 2 videos, let's talk about 5 principles of decluttering while I declutter my garage. Principle number 1. The most important principle to remember is that this is about you. It's actually not about stuff and items, objects, and making things tidy and pretty. We can't take any of this stuff with us when we depart this world. It's all about your well-being and your mental health, and understanding that you are worth it. You are worth having an uncluttered, calm, peaceful home to come back to each day. A space that is a haven and not a burden. Of course, it is lovely to have a home that is tidy, organised, and you wouldn't feel embarrassed if someone knocked on your door. And this is a wonderful outcome of decluttering. But the overarching reason for decluttering is that your inner peace is far superior and to be highly valued over any clutter that is suffocating your home. Decluttering is a powerful tool when it comes to our mental health. Decluttering actually changes the type of hormone that is getting delivered to our brain. Our cortisol or stress hormone levels are reduced when we declutter, and studies have shown that people are less irritable, less distracted, more productive, and better able to process information with an uncluttered and organised work or living space. So above all and any reason to declutter, your health and well-being is the most worthy reason always. The second principle of decluttering is to declutter before you organise. This is crucial and has to be one of the foundational principles when we are approaching a decluttering journey. You can't tidy clutter. When we declutter before organising, we are reducing the quantity and volume of stuff, items, objects that need to be organised, stored and managed. It's just creating less inventory overall that you have to make decisions on. We are also creating space for only the most valuable, important and functional items to remain in our homes. We are also removing items that are taking up precious real estate in your home because they've never been used, they do not get used, or will never get used again. We are creating space in our brains to be able to keep decluttering and process what the next best steps are with the remaining items that we are keeping. It is just so much less overwhelming and stressful to contemplate organising the items that you have deemed important enough to stay in your home versus a room full of clutter, rubbish, and items hidden underneath other stuff, and you didn't even remember they were there. Principle number 3 is to start with a space that feels manageable to you. This is going to be different for different people, and actually it will even depend on how you are feeling on any given day as well. Tiredness, stress, busyness, etc. are all going to impact on how big of a decluttering task or space you can tackle on any given day. Start with the surface of a desk, or one corner of a room, or one box that is clogging up a cupboard. By achieving success in decluttering one space, it will empower you and give you motivation to continue to the next space. On this day, I decided I had the time and mental capacity to try and declutter half of my garage, just half. One thing I will suggest though is to also think about starting in a space that I call the white elephant in the room space. It's that space that is so cluttered that you have put it off again and again because it seems unapproachable. My garage was my white elephant space. You think, oh, I'll just put it off until another day because I've got washing or vacuuming or dishes to do. But the reality is that those daily tasks will still get done because they just do. You find the time to fit them around other stuff happening in your home. But decluttering really is something that you have to set aside time for and make a conscious choice and effort to do a certain amount each day or week. But start with a manageable space and progress from there. Small, consistent habits for the win, remember. Principle number 4 is remove, relocate, keep. These are the basic overarching guidelines to have revolving in your head when making decisions on what to declutter or not. Am I going to remove this item, either to the rubbish or to take it to the second-hand store? Is this an item that is worthy of me keeping? And am I going to relocate this item? So, does this item need to be kept, but it's in the wrong room or space and needs to be relocated to the more appropriate space? So remove, relocate, keep. Those are the overarching guidelines. But if you are having difficulty making a declutter decision within these basic guidelines, then you can also ask yourself, is this item the best? The best quality? The best that I can afford? Is it my favourite? And is it necessary? If you get really stuck on making a decision on a particular item, then you can have a think about box, where you can put the item in a box for a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, whatever you deem necessary. And if you haven't thought about it, let alone used it, then you can safely let it go. But try and have basic questions that you are asking yourself, and not too many questions, so that you can make quick decluttering decisions without stalling constantly. And my number 5 principle is to find a home for everything. The screaming problem with clutter is that you can do your best to move it around, put it in piles, store it in the closet where you can't see it. But at the end of the day, it can't be tidied. The sheer accumulating volume of stuff just becomes unmanageable, both physically and mentally. Our brains are actually not designed to be able to cope with the chaos that clutter brings. So once the decluttering has been done, and you have removed, relocated, and kept only what is deemed worthy, then the next process needs to be to find a permanent space within your home where each item will live and be returned to every time it is used. If you cannot find a permanent home for it, then either the question needs to be asked again, do I need to declutter this item, or do I need to bring a storage solution into my home to be able to give it a permanent place? But once everything has a landing space to take it back to, then the piles, the messy services, all the items just lying around your home will no longer be a problem. Of course, everyone in the family also needs to be trained to take the said items back to their designated places, but this is a totally achievable goal once the clutter has gone. So as you can see, I achieved my goal of decluttering half of my garage. Is it perfect? No. Does it still need some thought on particular items as to whether they will be kept or not? Yes. There is a tent and other camping items that I will revisit over the next few months, once I've thought about them a bit more. Sometimes all you need is a little more time, and that's okay. But it certainly is a great feeling to have the broken dryer out of the way, and I can walk in the garage door without having to squeeze through a gap. There is space to actually move around, and my daughter can be creative and play her drums in an uncluttered area. It was a good outcome for about 3 hours of work. Thank you so much for using your own time to watch this video. Please subscribe if you would like to join our little community. I really appreciate it, and I hope it has motivated someone that you've got this and you can do it. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you for part 2 of my garage declutter. Hi everyone, here we are back in my garage for part 2 of a garage declutter, tidy and organise. As you can see, the tidy half from my last video is already looking messy again with my daughter's drum set. She has pulled it all out to give it a good clean, which is very much needed. It's interesting, hey, how when you start cleaning and tidying, it actually motivates other people in the household to do the same thing. It's a bit of a pain having the drum kit in here. She's such an awesome drummer, and it's important for us mamas to support and encourage our kids' interests and passions. Before I start pulling things out on this other side of the garage, I'm just going to get a load of washing into the dryer and get a bulky weighted blanket into the washing machine. I do have life goals to one day do a big makeover in this laundry area, but in the meantime, it just has to be functional. As you can see, I have a lot that needs to be folded and distributed into the bedrooms, but we will get to that eventually today. I don't know about what is common in your own country, but garages in New Zealand quite often do not end up with cars in them. A lot of garages have the laundry in them, like mine. They might be used for storage for all of the stuff we can't fit in the main house. Might have a pool or table tennis table in them, and it's not uncommon for them to be converted into another bedroom or living space, especially when the garage is already joined to the house like mine here, with a proper internal door access. I'm also just going to be moving all of the drum kit to the other side of the room so that I can make a start on this decluttering. So I was really pleased with what I accomplished on the first half of my garage. These types of decluttering jobs quite often feel very overwhelming to even start, but it doesn't have to be finished in one day, especially if you are doing it, by yourself like I was. Most families would have to spread it out over a weekend or a long weekend to get a big job like this done. But I was really ruthless and decluttered 2 Christmas trees, a pool, old carpet and underlay, cushions, amongst other bits and bobs. They were items that I was just in the right mindset to be able to think unemotionally about them and just see them as objects that were causing frustration to have to store, really. And even better, I managed to take them straight to the second-hand store in the pouring rain, but it did feel really great to get it all out of the house. I've got my forever friend and extreme nosy Parker, Sully, here with me today. Like he is in most of my videos, he is very much a people type of cat. This box I'm decluttering has been in the back of my car for months and then got moved into the garage where it has been sitting for another few months. I've got this old green IKEA box here that I will use as a decluttering box. I don't need it anymore. Most of the items in this cardboard box are really good David Walliams kids books, and I had promised a work colleague that I would pass them on to her. So I'm just going to stack them all into a reusable shopping bag, and hopefully another family will get enjoyment from them. Next, I'm just moving these gardening tools into the bucket together. Some of these are not actually mine, but my dad has been helping me with some bits around the outside of my house, and he likes to leave things here just in case they need to be used again. And then the bike with extremely flat tyres and the lawnmower get dragged outside so I can start to do some sweeping. Thank goodness it is dry out today and not torrential rain like it has been in the past few days. For a long while now, I've dried clothes on 2 clothes racks in my garage. Long term, I think it would be great to have something mounted on the wall to make the most of the vertical space in here. And those kind of wall hanging racks are easy to come by, but I would need some help to install them as the wall is brick. But it would certainly help with space down here for sure. Next, I'm sorting out the top of this corner cupboard here. The iron basically doesn't ever get used, so that can go into the cupboard. On top, I keep minimal laundry products really. I have a basket with rags and wash bags in it. And then I have a oxygen whitening granule, a spot cleaner, a deodorizing liquid for my son's smelly work uniform, white vinegar, which I find works well as fabric softener and for odours, and a box of wash powder. I usually just get what's on special for wash powder. The top needed a really good wipe down. It had dust and cobwebs all over it. And my daughter said it made her feel so happy to look at it now. So there's a cause and effect outcome if ever there was one. These containers I'm going to declutter, even though they may potentially have a use in the future. But they have been sitting here for years actually now, and they are so cheap to replace if I ever did miss them. But I don't think I am going to miss them. Next is to tackle this pile of washing. It's the age-old problem of having a system that works great up until the part where you have to put the clothes away. And my household is no different here. The top was actually quite dusty under the basket, so this all got a wipe down. And then I carried on with a little more sweeping and wiping of the shelves above the dryer just on the wall there. These were bad and really needed a proper heavy degreaser type of wash down, but I was running out of time as I had a family event I had to get to, so it was just a quick wipe over today that I was able to do. And then, of course, the more you look, the more you see, and I just noticed that there was some greasy, sort of grimy marks on the side and the front of the freezer that I've got downstairs here. So I just gave that a little bit of a wipe over as well. So here we are at the end of 2 weekends worth of decluttering, tidying and organising. I didn't actually spend 4 whole days doing this, but it did need to be spread out so that my brain could cope with it. It is a lot when you are doing these big tasks by yourself. So I do applaud you if you are, and you can be proud of yourself for these small wins. I titled this video a finished project ... for the moment, because of course the job is never finished. There are things in here that I know I could be moving on and decluttering, but all in good time it will get done. The main thing I notice when I walk in here now is the space. A big open space that you can actually swing your arms in. I do have the drum set pushed to the side, so that will all get pulled out again in no time. but at the moment I will just enjoy the space and tidy laundry area. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you managed to get stuck into your own garage over Easter, and I will see you very soon. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.